If you've ever encountered someone who seems friendly on the surface, but leaves you feeling frustrated, confused, and intimidated, you might be dealing with a passive-aggressive person. The more important reality is, and this question should concern you, is the person who's staring back at you in the mirror passive-aggressive, or is it you? In today's video, we're going to discuss the complexities of communicating with someone who is notorious for displaying passive-aggressive behavior, how to identify it, and what you can do to handle it effectively, and stop doing it yourself if you're the one who's passive-aggressive. Before we go further, so we're on the same page, let's define what passive-aggressive behavior is. Passive-aggressive behavior is when someone communicates their negative feelings, resentment, or indirect aggression, rather than be open and direct about it. It's a coping mechanism that can lead to frustration, misunderstandings, and conflicts in all forms of relationships. To identify passive-aggressive behavior, look for signs in a person's actions, their words, both spoken out loud and/or written, and how they physically act. Here are 10 key characteristics to look out for when identifying passive-aggressive behavior. Number 1, sarcasm and cynicism. The passive-aggressive person may make cutting, sarcastic remarks, disguised as jokes. Their tone might be cold, bitter, or mocking. Comments that seem funny on the surface often have an underlying message of criticism or hostility. Sarcasm is a common tool in a passive-aggressive person's arsenal. They might make nasty or ironic remarks, pretending it's all in good fun, but the underlying message is often negative. An example of this would be, "Oh, you're a real genius, aren't you?" By the way, make sure to check out the video on how to deal with sarcasm and cynicism, linked in the description, that goes much deeper into sarcasm and cynicism. Number 2, avoids conflict and is non-committal. Passive-aggressive people are conflict avoidant. What that means is they might repeatedly avoid situations they don't want to deal with. Passive-aggressiveness can also be seen as a lack of commitment to plans or making decisions. They'll agree to do something, or they may agree to something half-heartedly and then bail at the last minute without a valid reason, using all kinds of excuses of why they couldn't follow through. Number 3, obstructionism and procrastination. A passive-aggressive person may indirectly obstruct someone else's efforts to reach a goal or meet a deadline by intentionally delaying tasks, causing stress and inconvenience, using their weapon of choice, procrastination. For example, a passive-aggressive coworker might drag their feet on a project by intentionally working slowly, waiting until the last minute, or purposefully forgetting to do something. They may also withhold important details or not share crucial information, making it difficult for you to make informed decisions. Speaking of informed decisions, if you like the content that I produce, please make sure to show it by hitting that like button right now. This tells me and YouTube that this video is worthy of being shown to more people, and I should keep making more just like it. Thanks, I truly appreciate it, and I'm not being sarcastic. Number 4, victimization, playing the victim. The passive-aggressive person portrays themselves as powerless, oppressed, or disadvantaged in order to subtly manipulate others. Passive-aggressive individuals can skillfully play the victim card to evoke guilt and get their way without asking directly. They might portray themselves as the injured party, even when they're the ones causing the conflict. This can make it challenging to address the issue and reach a resolution. Number 5, blaming. The passive-aggressive person regularly deflects responsibility by subtly casting blame onto others. It's never their fault when something goes wrong. There's always an excuse or a scapegoat to cover their inadequacies. Don't take the blame, even if you think you're preserving the peace. You're just going to enable them to keep doing what they do. Put the blame where the blame belongs, on them. Number 6, the use of negative body language. When feeling resentment, anger, or hostility, the passive-aggressive person won't communicate directly, but instead may indirectly use negative body language, such as eye rolling, heavy sighs, or crossed arms during a conversation. Be observant of those nonverbal communication indicators that something's off and ask them, what's on your mind? In many situations, the behavior will be obvious, such as when someone's not recognized for doing something they thought they should have been rewarded for, or at least acknowledged. Number 7, backhanded compliments. The passive-aggressive person will say something that sounds like a compliment on the surface, but what they say is often laced with criticism and hidden insults. For example, they might say, I love your outfit. It's so brave of you to wear something like that. Or, that was a really unique presentation you just gave. I've never seen anyone use so many fonts and colors in their slides before. I could tell you put a lot of effort into it. While the comments sound positive on the surface, they contain subtle criticisms of the overuse of fonts and colors, suggesting it was distracting and perhaps childish to cover up the lack of meaningful content. Number 8, forgetfulness and subtle sabotage. The passive-aggressive person might frequently forget about important meetings or agreements they made with you, but they'll rarely forget something that matters to them. Their forgetfulness or subtle sabotage often seems a little too convenient. Passive-aggressive individuals may undermine your success or happiness indirectly. They might forget to give you important information that was intentional just to make things much harder for you. If you deal with somebody like this is a good reason you should sometimes get their commitments in writing or on video. Number 9, the sulking silent treatment. When confronted with their behavior, the passive-aggressive person is likely to react by sulking, pouting. They want to punish the person without an open display of anger by giving someone the silent treatment. They'll stop communicating with you, leaving you guessing about what you did wrong and why they're upset. If you've witnessed this or have ever been accused of this, you know what I mean, don't you? Number 10, ambiguity. One of the most frustrating things about passive-aggressive people is their ambiguity. They're masters at mixed messages, vague language, mysterious silences, and plausible deniability. This allows their behavior to go unchecked. Don't accept that as the only outcome. Hold them accountable, be direct with them, and respectfully demand that their lack of closure is not acceptable for what they say, do, or don't do. Passive-aggressive individuals are already emotionally draining and challenging to deal with, but by understanding their subtle signs and using direct and effective communication with them, you can navigate these troublesome personality types with less stress and a greater appreciation for being able to connect with someone on a deeper level. So, in summary, the 10 key characteristics of the passive-aggressive are this. They often use sarcasm and cynicism. They avoid conflict and are non-committal. They use obstructionism and procrastination. They play being the victim. They blame others. They use negative body language to show their resentment, anger, or hostility. They use backhanded compliments. They use subtle sabotage by being forgetful. They love sulking by using the silent treatment. And they are often ambiguous and vague about what they say and mean. To be direct with you, I hope this video has shed some light on how to identify passive-aggressive behavior patterns and what you should do about it to maintain healthy relationships and promote open and honest communication. Consistently applying these tips can help minimize the sting of someone who might just be taking out their bad day on you, including that person staring back at you in the mirror. Let me know in the comments if you have any other tips for identifying and dealing with passive-aggressive people effectively, and then discover more ways you can deal with different difficult personality types by watching the videos in the playlist that's on your screen right now. Make sure that if you're not subscribed to do that too. Thanks. I'll see you online soon.